6-month jail sentence for contempt of court against BYJU'S founder Ravindran.
For years, BYJU'S was called India's greatest startup success story. A company that started with one teacher in a classroom went on to become India's most valuable edtech startup, worth a staggering $22 billion at its peak. Celebrities promoted it. Investors poured billions into it, and parents across India believed it could change their children's future. In a country obsessed with exams, BYJU'S didn't just build a business, it built an empire. At one point, the company claimed over 150 million registered users, acquired more than 10 companies globally, and spent massive amounts sponsoring the Indian cricket team and even the FIFA World Cup. Imagine going from teaching math in stadium seminars to having your logo on the jerseys of some of the world's biggest athletes. But then, things started falling apart. Layoffs, unpaid salaries, angry parents, investor lawsuits, accounting issues, vanishing valuations, and accusations of toxic sales practices began to surface one after another. The same company once celebrated as the future of Indian education suddenly became a symbol of startup boom gone wrong. So, what exactly happened? How did BYJU'S rise so fast? And more importantly, how did a $22 billion giant collapse so dramatically in just a few years? Long before BYJU'S became a billion-dollar startup, it was simply a man with a talent for teaching. Born in a small village in Kerala, BYJU Ravindran wasn't an entrepreneur. He was an engineer working abroad. But everything changed when he helped a few friends prepare for the CAT exam. To everyone's surprise, he scored a near-perfect percentile. Not once, but multiple times. Word spread quickly. Soon hundreds of students were attending his classes. Then thousands. In an era before YouTube influencers and online courses, students were filling entire auditoriums just to watch him teach mathematics and aptitude tricks. In few years, BYJU had become one of India's most recognizable education personalities. But he noticed a bigger opportunity. India had millions of students preparing for competitive exams, yet access to quality teachers was limited to a handful of cities. The solution seemed obvious. Use technology to scale great teaching. In 2011, BYJU'S was officially founded. A few years later, the company launched its learning app, combining animations, videos, and interactive lessons. The timing was perfect. Smartphone adoption was exploding across India, and parents were willing to spend heavily on education. After launching its learning app, BYJU'S quickly became one of India's fastest-growing startups. Investors saw enormous potential in a country with over 250 million school students and an education market worth billions of dollars. Money started pouring in. Some of the world's biggest investors, including Sequoia, Tiger Global, and the Chan Zuckerberg Initiative, backed the company. As smartphones became cheaper and internet access expanded, millions of students joined the platform. Then came 2020. The COVID-19 pandemic became the biggest growth catalyst in the history of online education.
संपूर्ण देश में संपूर्ण लॉकडाउन होने जा रहा है.
With schools closed and students stuck at home, demand for digital learning exploded overnight. BYJU'S was perfectly positioned to benefit. The company went on an acquisition spree, buying several massive ed service companies across the world. The goal was ambitious: build a global education empire. At its peak, BYJU'S was valued at an astonishing $22 billion, making it India's most valuable startup. To the outside world, BYJU'S looked like the future of education. But beneath the soaring valuation and flashy marketing, serious cracks were beginning to appear. One of the biggest criticisms was surprisingly simple. Where was the technology in edtech? Despite being branded as a revolutionary technology company, BYJU'S was essentially selling pre-recorded video courses. The core product wasn't artificial intelligence, personalized learning, or groundbreaking software. It was educational content packaged inside an app. Growth increasingly depended not on product innovation, but on aggressive sales. Former employees and customers alleged that sales teams were under immense pressure to hit targets.
I think, the whole aggressive sales model.
Parents were often encouraged to take loans or expensive financing plans to purchase courses costing tens of thousands of rupees. Complaints about misleading sales pitches, difficult refunds, and relentless follow-ups began piling up. But the company appeared successful because money was constantly flowing in from investors. But there was a problem. A business built on continuous fundraising can survive only as long as investors keep writing bigger checks. And when that flow of money slows down, every weakness suddenly becomes impossible to hide. The golden age of edtech was about to come to an end. The turning point came when the world changed. As schools reopened after the pandemic and investor money became harder to raise, BYJU'S could no longer rely on endless growth to cover its problems. The company delayed its financial results. Investors began raising concerns and lenders accused BYJU'S of violating loan agreements. Layoffs followed. Thousands of employees lost their jobs. Reports of unpaid salaries surfaced. The valuation that had once touched 22 billion collapsed, wiping out nearly all of the company's paper wealth. Within a few years, BYJU'S went from being India's startup poster child to one of its biggest corporate cautionary tales. But the story of BYJU'S is bigger than one company. It is a reminder that great storytelling cannot replace a great product, that funding is not the same as profitability, and that growth without strong foundations eventually catches up with every business. The rise of BYJU'S showed what was possible for Indian startups. Its fall showed what happens when valuation becomes more important than value. And perhaps that's the most expensive lesson in Indian startup history.